Hi, I'm Trevor from trevordumbleton.com, and today we're going to talk about how to get blog content ideas for your website. Getting content ideas for your blog or your website is usually easy when you're first starting out. You've got ideas buzzing around your head that have probably been buzzing around for a while, which is why you started your website, and you can't wait to share them with what's obviously an eagerly awaiting world. But after a while things calm down, and often it's not long before you're stuck in a rut and you're wondering what to create content about. And that usually means that you start putting off the idea of creating new content until tomorrow, and as we all know, tomorrow tends to be always tomorrow. And it moves on to the next day and the next day and so on. The idea really here is to give you some ideas to get your creative juices flowing again, because often it doesn't take very much. As long as the blog's about something you're interested in, it just needs a nudge in the right direction usually. And first thing I normally do if I'm in this situation is set up a Google alert. And when you do a search in Google, sometimes at the end of the results there's an option to directly set up an email alert to notify you about new results. It varies, there doesn't seem to be too much logic there. But if it's there, it's near the end of the first page of the search results, and it will say something along the line, stay up to date on these results, get an alert, something like that. If it doesn't show, a couple of other options. One is click the news tab that's normally somewhere near the top of the results, or just do a quick search as you'd normally do for Google Alerts. Then you'll get a fairly intuitive form. It's not totally, because it's computers, but it's reasonable. And you can set up an alert for one or more of your target phrases. And what that'll do is send you an email each time that phrase hits the search results in a meaningful way. Again, there's no total logic, but it usually works quite well. And the screen will actually show you what you're likely to get in potential matches. There's a few different options with it. I tend to either do blogs or news or all. It just varies on the mood, and you can tweak the settings until it shows you some sensible results. Then you'll get sent a confirmation email by Google for each alert you set up. And when I first did this, I made the mistake of setting up about 5 or 6, and after the first 1 or 2 or 3, I can't remember which confirmations, if you haven't confirmed them, it just gives up, because it assumes that someone's spamming your email address. So the best way I've found is to, each time you set up an alert, go into your email, click the confirmation, then you make sure that you don't forget 1 or 2 phrases, which is what I ended up doing. And there's different frequency options. Some are sort of hyperactive ones that you can get hourly or something stupid. Daily or weekly. Personally, I go for the weekly ones. I find I actually pay more attention to a weekly rather than a daily email. It's so easy to think, oh, I'll come back to that, and you never do. Because your email box is so full, it's just overflowing anyway. So personal preference is weekly alerts. You can always change the frequency anyway, and it depends. If you want to get ideas for fresh content and you've actually got the discipline to do it and check it, go for daily. And what often I find is just the titles and the alerts will give me enough ideas for fresh content. It depends. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But if they're intriguing and Google's thought it's about your topic, and it's usually right, not always, but the title doesn't give you enough to go on, just click through and skim the article that you've been notified about, and that will work a treat, because you'll get ideas, probably more than one idea actually, so it can be worth clicking through. Second idea to get blog content ideas is to lurk in forums. Now most people do that. They read forums, they don't contribute, because that's human nature. Most of us don't. That's why we watch television rather than appear on it. Forums though are fantastic places to get ideas for fresh content. If you're a regular member of a forum, you'll know that certain questions crop up with monotonous regularity. It seems that almost every other post, it isn't, but it seems as though it is, asks the same question. And those are the ones you should already have some content about on your site. If you haven't, obviously that's the first place to start. And if you have, it won't hurt to have more content about them, because if they're asked that often, they're popular. And often you'll find that the same question gets asked in just slightly different ways. It might be an extra word, could be a different order for the words, or it could be a different word, similar words, synonym they're called, swapped into the question. And all of those variants are ripe for new content to be created around them, because if people are asking different questions in slightly, or the same question in slightly different ways, you need a page on each. It sounds overkill, but remember that Google delivers pages on your website, not your complete website. So people will probably only go in, I know you'd love them to go all over your site, but in practice they're probably only going into 1 or 2 pages. And Google will do its best to match the precise words used in each individual search. So on this one, how to get blog content ideas for your website will be different results to how to get website ideas for your blog, or website content ideas for your blog. All those will return slightly different results. And you can test that for yourself. Just run each of the search variants you found in a forum, wherever, and check which pages return for each one. What I'll do, if I'm being nerdish enough to do that, is just set up about 2 or 3 tabs and just do separate searches and then flick between the ones. Sometimes you'll find the order of the results is slightly different. Other times the pages returned will be different. But either way, that's an opportunity for you to provide fresh content that precisely matches the question that's being asked, and that is the trick to getting more people visiting your website. The third way I'm going to talk about is just going through your old posts. Now, if your website's been around a while and has got more than a handful of pages, it pays back to go through your old posts for inspiration. And what I find is best is probably start with the oldest pages first. They're the ones that it's been quite a while since you last looked at, almost certainly. But people are still going to the pages. If you check your stats and things like that, you'll find that people are still going there. Sometimes they'll be completely out of date, in which case you might need to just say, well, go here instead. But most of the time, what you'll find is that your thought processes have changed a bit, and it's the oldest posts that happens on most. Now, it's tempting, but don't rewrite and edit the pages unless they're totally out of date and wrong. It's just not a good idea. Instead, it's much better to create a new page that gives people your current thinking on whatever the topic is. And that, quite often you'll find that if you've got 5 or 6 pages that you've neglected, that's the wrong word, but that, you know what I mean, that you've left lying, maturing is the better word, you'll probably find you get quite a few ideas out of that. Another way to come up with fresh ideas is to take each bullet point or paragraph from a page and then just write a completely fresh post just about that point. So if, like this, you've written 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 or whatever it happens to be, bullets or just paragraphs, because chances are you haven't written one just long paragraph, that'll give you plenty of places, and you can expand on each point and just go into it in more depth. Another option is just to ask the question why to any of the points you've written about. Why? It's a fantastically open question, and just answer the question you just asked. And what you'll find is that most of this will just help consolidate your thoughts, and it'll usually put you, especially asking why, will usually put you closer to being in the head of the person who's checked out your content. Because that's probably the question that's running through their mind. Why should I do that? Why, what, how, all those kind of questions, all the questioning questions. And if you'd like more, my blog site is trevordumbleton.com, and have a read there. There's plenty more ideas there. Thank you very much.